Hi, my name is Jeannie, and today I'm going to be discussing the Nichiren Buddhist concept of human revolution. So the word human revolution was actually phrased or coined by the second SGI leader. His name was Josei Toda, and he spoke about like changing this concept of changing from within before you change the world outside of you, because Nichiren Buddhists believe in the concept of oneness of self and environment. Basically, your internal world is directly connected to external world. Just like the external world can influence you, you can also influence the external world by changing within. But in Nichiren Buddhism, our main goal is to change our karmic patterns, our problems, and repeating patterns in our life by changing first from within, changing essentially whatever programming, whatever belief, whatever attachment that you have. So changing just from within first. And I'm going to use the and illustrate the concept of human revolution by mentioning the movie Groundhog Day, which was, this movie is funny. It's a comedy, and it stars Bill Murray and Andy McDowell, and it came out long ago. And if you haven't seen the movie, you should really watch it. It's really great. And I chose this movie because it really explicitly, like, it shows the concept of human revolution. And I'm going to tell you about the movie, the plot of the movie Groundhog Day. So basically, Groundhog Day is the story of Phil, who's like a weatherman, and his assignment was to go to Pennsylvania to cover the Groundhog Day. This is like 100-year tradition where they watch this groundhog to see if the groundhog has like a shadow. The type of shadow that it has will determine if it's going to be a long winter or a short, or like an early spring. So Phil, played by Bill Murray, he visits this small town in Pennsylvania, and he gets trapped in Groundhog Day, and it's repeated. That day is repeated over and over and over again, and there's just no escape. He just has to repeat the same day over and over. And based on my research, I think he stayed there for 8 years, between 8 years to 10 years. So depending on, you know, there's like, it was on the internet, they said that it was between 8 years to 10 years. So he was really stuck there for a long time. And it's really a funny movie, and he just like, Phil at first, he was in denial, and he was just really angry, and he really wanted to opt out of it. And in fact, he actually tries to kill himself several times. And the funniest way he tried to kill himself was by kidnapping this groundhog, the groundhog, and then he actually steals a pickup truck, and he drives that pickup truck through a cliff. Like, he actually like kills himself by driving off a cliff. And it was really funny because he took the groundhog with him. And he also tried to kill himself by electrocuting himself with a toaster. So he tosses the toaster in the bathtub, and he jumps into the bathtub and he dies. So it's all really funny, but it's really related to life as well, you know, especially when you're depressed. You just are in the state of like nothing ever changes. You know, I've been there, and sometimes I get depressed too, but you know, you are trapped in that same day, that it's just never ending, that never ending gloom, and you just want to opt out of it. And sadly, some people do opt out of it, you know, they opt out of life. But since I've been chanting Myoho Renge, I don't get stuck in depression long. I mean, you know, I sometimes do get depressed when things are not working out in my external reality. Like, you know, it's a depressing time right now with the pandemic going on. So I admit that, you know, I'm going through some depression right now, but the thing is, I can snap out of it because I've been chanting Myoho Renge Kyo, and I can get out of that pattern of depression easily. Unlike some people like Phil in this movie, he just is depressed and he's just in a state of depression, and he has a feeling that he cannot get out of it, you know. But then he revives the next day, and he has to deal with the same day again and again and again, until he realized, like, I have to go, like, I have to make this life count. I have to go through my human revolution and just change myself internally, which he does. And I think a subplot of this movie is that he tries to win Andie MacDowell's heart. So she plays his co-worker, and she is pretty and she's beautiful and she's sensitive, and he tries to win her heart over and over and again, and he gets slapped. I don't know how many times he's been slapped, because the original film is like, he's not a good person, and Andie MacDowell's character just continues to slap him day by day by day, until he realized, like, you know what, I really have to change this pattern, this karmic pattern. I have to change this. And once he realized that, instead of focusing on her, he starts focusing on changing himself, you know, from within, from the inside out. And he actually learns many languages. I think he learned French, he studies poetry, he learns how to play the piano, and he really becomes this good guy and rescues people. He actually even rescues this homeless guy. And again, which drives us to another Buddhist concept of life and death. So this homeless guy, no matter how much he tries to save his life, he just, day by day by day, he just continues to die. You know, when the day starts over, he dies, and he dies again and again and again. And this really, like, made Phil realize that death is inevitable. It happens to this particular person, but yeah, you cannot prevent death from happening. It will just happen. And once he realizes this, he just realized, like, he really goes through his human revolution. He turns into this good person. He realized, like, you know, yeah, death is inevitable, but he has been given this precious life that he can reset every day. Every day he gets to reset and just change the day, and just change his pattern, change his just really go through that karmic, or that human revolution, to change his karma, to change his pattern. And if you have not seen the movie, I will spoil it for you. And if you don't want to hear the spoiler, you can just stop, because I will reveal a major plot point. So here it is. So he actually, because of he realized that he has to work on himself, he becomes this overall good guy now. He actually is able to, like, get out of Groundhog Day, and he actually wins the heart of Andie MacDowell's character. And because he's, like, so really in love with her, and he finally gets the girl, you know, and that it has a happy ending. But it's a very, very profound movie, because it really talks about the Buddhist concept of changing yourself first before you change the environment. Because sometimes we put blame on other people, not realizing that, you know, that personal responsibility of changing our karmic patterns, our repeating patterns, our problems, it all lies within us. And even if I've been practicing for 13 years, it's so easy for me to just start blaming the external world, because that's all we see. You know, we see it like, oh my God, like that's not how I wanted things to happen. But then we fail to realize that we are creating that effect. It's cause and effect. Nichiren Buddhists, we are following the law of cause and effect. It's like, whatever causes you create right now, you create the effect that you can see in your external reality. And if you really want to change your external reality, you first have to change from within. And that is not easy. And that's why I've been chanting for 13 years, and I continue to chant, because there's always something in me that comes up that I need to change for the better. And that is life. You know, we chant to become better people, to become better human beings, to just change our patterns and to become happier and happier and happier. And that is what chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is for, to change that karmic pattern. So right now, if you have a pattern that you're repeating, let's say you go to another job and it's like the same type of boss, it's like the bad boss, you know, it's the bossy boss, and you have to really examine then, why is this pattern repeating? And the common denominator is, of course, you. And it's a really hard concept to grasp, because as human beings, we always chase after our own shadows, like, oh, I'm gonna chase that shadow over there, but not realizing that we're the ones casting the shadow. We are the ones creating the shadow. And yeah, as a Nichiren Buddhist, it's hard for me to chant every day with this, you know, with this self-responsibility that I create my life, and I am responsible for creating the causes in my life. And so if you want to change your external reality, change first from within, because the patterns that you're repeating right now, they will continue to repeat until you learn the lesson, like Phil did in the movie. He realized, like, you know what, I don't have to repeat this pattern. I can change this by changing the causes right now. So that is the concept of human revolution, and I hope you liked it, and I hope you've understood it. And if you have not seen the movie, watch the movie Groundhog Day. It's really, really funny, but it's such a profound movie, and it really talks about the concept of human revolution and the concept of changing your karma by first changing yourself. And it's like an inside out job. And thank you, and I hope you like this video.